Jeremy Booth. Well, José Abreu's coming to town. What do you think about this signing for the Astros?
Well, I think first talk about what it means for the Astros. You got to talk about what it means for the White Sox, and that's a big loss for the White Sox at first base. All that production for the last 9 years. I mean, not too great of an outlook in the Central now for that team. But moving to the Astros, you've got all that goodness that just came over here to Houston to hit in the hitter's haven that is Minute Maid Park. In all seriousness, look, Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker. I mean, we know the club, right? So if these guys are here and you have such a good balance with Abreu in that lineup, how that fits, man, that fortifies 6 hitters. And I say 6, and it's really 9 because he's going to make everybody else better in the bottom third. Even if you bring back a guy like Gurriel and Brantley, it makes that team an offensive juggernaut.
Everybody talks about his age, 35, the reported contract, 3 years, $60 million. You could say that value was a little high, but at 35, he still puts up pretty good production. The homers were down, but that was, I think, more of a philosophy from the White Sox perspective last year than it was for him. I think he's going to be tremendous in Minute Maid Park. What do you think?
Yeah, you can't say it better than that, man. I mean, tremendous is the perfect word for how he's going to fit in this ballpark, how he's going to fit with this club. This city loves its fans, or loves its team, rather, as you know, like few other places. And the trend in the game, and I think a good trend, is shorter contracts, higher money, right? This is a much more risky contract if you're locking him up at 39 and 40. It's a much riskier contract at $100 million. At $60 million for 3 years, where the production's at, I think that's fair. I think we're living in a different world than we did 1 season ago in the offseason. I think we're on a different trend now. And look, I think it's a good deal. I think Jim Crane is showing he's not afraid to spend with Rafael Montero and now this deal. I think you have what you need to make this club to replace, I would say, actually 3 hitters in 1 with 1 guy. That's what I think this guy can mean in this lineup.
Where do you think he fits in with the lineup? Because he can slot in multiple locations. Some people say, well, he'll just go back into 6th. Maybe he can hit 5th behind Yordan. I think the type of hitter that Jose is, the way he uses the bat going the opposite way, the way he sees pitches, I think he can pretty much hit anywhere. What do you think?
I think the key to where he hits is going to be Alex Bregman. And I say that because we got to figure, just looking at what happened last year with the World Series championship, they're not moving Jose out of the 1 spot. Altuve is going to hit 1 and Payne is going to hit 2. And then you got to kind of figure what happens at 3, right? Is that Bregman? Is that Alvarez? Who is that in that spot? Last year it was Alvarez Bregman, if I'm not mistaken. It probably stays that way. And then you have Tucker or Abreu. Now, if it's me, to me, whichever one is in a better position to you want to plate more often between Bregman and Pena is who hits in the 2 hole. See, I don't know that Pena needs to stay there now. I think he's had the year of adjustment. He's seen some fastballs. I think if it's me, I'm going Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, Abreu, Tucker, Pena. That's how I'm going. That's how I'm doing it. Now, last year I get he was in the 2 hole. But I want Bregman as much as I can at the plate. I want Abreu up as much as I can. I want all 5 of those guys now that Pena's a bona fide major league hitter in that 6 hole. And then I'm probably plugging in Brantley or Gurriel, whoever's playing that day, in the 7 spot. And then 8 and 9 kind of takes care of itself. You have your rotation in center field as it stands today, with Chas McCormick having the lead. And then you have your catcher, which for me is Vasquez, right, if he's back. So I feel like that's your 9. I think he slots right in that 5 hole, depending on what you do with Bregman.
I agree. I think 5th between Alvarez and Tucker is the right spot for him. Hey, so much for that whole not having a GM thing, right? I think they're doing just fine. People freaking out. But the Astros, hey, Jim Crane, he's spending some money. He's done a lot of deals in his life, and he does not want this window to close anytime soon.
Jim Crane is doing what I would say he's making baseball decisions. And not too long ago, before the analytics only guys, we got to be only efficient guys. I'm going to go get, 75 million cents on a $1 bill for you guys, right? We're talking about baseball, people making baseball decisions. And you've now got a circle of people around Jim Crane who are, but fair to say, they're not analytics guys. They're baseball oriented, right? So with what he has quantifying what the instincts in the field say, yeah, they're going out there, they're doing all right. Now, look, they're spending some money. And, we talk about those 7 years. Shoot, I was part of the 10-year contract.
But it's his money, so he can make that decision. It's his
money. It is. But, when I was in Seattle, we did the 10-year deal with Robinson Cano, right? And everybody said, what are you doing? And no one thought years 8, 9, and 10, which I think might be over now, actually. No one thought that was a deal that years 8, 9, and 10 were going to be any good. You were paying him for the first 5 or 6 years of those deals, knowing the cost of doing business. If you got anything in 7 or 8, great. 9 or 10, you probably had to eat. Crane's doing stuff like that with shorter term deals and higher dollars, but he's thinking like a baseball guy. I want to get these guys in here, build these rosters, and win. I'm not worried about the efficient. It costs too much. No, it's my money. I'm going to do what I want to do with it. And that's driven by the people around him saying, hey, Jim, this is the cost of doing business. And Jim goes, okay, I want to write the check because I like to win. And so, look, do you need a GM in there? Yeah, in theory, you would like a GM, but this isn't a team that's being rebuilt from scratch. It's just identifying certain guys and plugging somebody in when they do this who knows how to rebuild the system. Yes, they can help at the big league level, preferably got some pedigree to them and a track record. I don't think you're going to see a first-time guy in here unless it's somebody who's built scouting and player development. But what I do think is that you're going to have some things come on in this direction as Jim feels comfortable with the big league roster to get it done. And that's not going to be till January.